Rhoda, what happened to old Mrs. Post in Wichita? There was ice on the steps, and I slipped and fell against her. And that's how she fell down the stairs and died. And that was all, Mother. That was all? No. I slipped on purpose. Hi, I'm Bobby, and welcome to Dusty Old Movies. Today we're going to be talking about The Bad Seed. Yes, that's right, my autobiography. My Uncle Bill gave me this movie, and I just loved it. And whenever I force my friends to watch old movies, this one is always a hit. And I think I know why. It's weird, it's thrilling, but it's also a barrel of fun. William March published his best-selling novel, The Bad Seed, in 1954. And almost immediately, the very well-respected and famous playwright Maxwell Anderson adapted it into a hit Broadway play. Nancy Kelly won a Tony for her performance as the mother. And Patty McCormick's portrayal of the psychopathic little girl Rhoda mesmerized audiences, including Mervyn LeRoy. Mervyn LeRoy, who is best known today for being the producer of The Wizard of Oz, turned The Bad Seed into a movie. And in a really groovy move, he actually cast 6 of the Broadway actors to reprise their roles, including Patty McCormick as Rhoda the evil kid, Nancy Kelly as Rhoda's mother, Christine Penmark, Eileen Hackott as Mrs. Daigle, the mother of Rhoda's victim, Henry Jones as Leroy, the creepy handyman, Evelyn Vaughan is the neighbor, Mrs. Monica Breedlove, and Joan Croydon is Rhoda's teacher, Miss Fern. Mervyn LeRoy kept the acting style theatrical, but he also opened it up by adding some outdoor scenes. His goal was to make The Bad Seed into a movie, while keeping what he loved about the play. Kenneth and Christine Penmark seemed to have the perfect family, with the perfect little girl, Rhoda. One morning, Kenneth, that is, Colonel Kenneth Penmark, is called away on a sudden change of orders, and Rhoda is going to a school picnic. However, Rhoda is very upset at her classmate, Claude Daigle, because he won a penmanship medal that she wanted. So, at the picnic, she secretly kills him. Leroy and a couple other adults begin to suspect that there is more to Rhoda than meets the eye, and eventually so does Christine. Meanwhile, Christine also suspects that she was an adopted child, and worries that Rhoda may have inherited murderous genes from her biological grandmother. Although I like that subplot less than the main Rhoda storyline, with all the stuff we know about DNA now, it's actually really fascinating. The thing I love about this movie is that it's 1950s, all the way, baby, in the Leave It to Beaver sense of the word. In the 1950s, television was filled with perfect families on shows like Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best. And since the Penmarks are supposed to appear like the perfect family, on the surface level, they emulate those same qualities of wholesomeness. In one of the opening scenes, Rhoda and her dad have this dialogue exchange where he says to her, "What would you give me for a basket of kisses?" And she replies, "Well, I'd give you a basket of hugs." And you can't get more wholesome than that. Ozzie Nelson, eat your heart out. And the fact that a lot of sets are nice living rooms, and there's a lot of TV actors in the cast, and even some of the music in the movie has a sentimental feel, like the da-da-da-da-da-da music cue. It really gives this movie a 1950s TV show atmosphere, which I love. Because on one hand, it makes Rhoda being so evil and Leroy being so creepy really funny, because everyone else is so polite in that 1950s TV show way, but Rhoda and Leroy just say and do any mean thing they want. Like a few minutes after the basket of hugs thing, they have a dialogue exchange where Leroy says, "When I was in school, we didn't have no picnics." And Rhoda replies, "I don't care what you didn't have." It's really funny. But on the other hand, the atmosphere also makes the movie more chilling, because this is the atmosphere that I'm used to feeling safe in. but with Rhoda and Leroy in it, it's anything but safe. And it really creates an unsettling impression. And along with this 1950s TV show feel, the other thing about this movie that makes me go ape are the wonderful actors and characters. I think all the actors are a joy to watch. Now, as I mentioned, the acting style in this movie is theatrical. Wait, let me say that one more time. The acting style in this movie is theatrical. William Shatner, you may join Ozzie Nelson. Now, this does get a little heat from some critics, especially in regards with Nancy Kelly's performance. But I love Patty McCormack's portrayal of Rhoda so much that I am glad Mervyn LeRoy didn't have the cast tone it down. This 10-year-old kid gives a performance that is right up there with Tim Curry's It or Anthony Hopkins' Hannibal or any other great horror performance. She plays Rhoda to the hilt and just naturally goes from sweet to psychopath before your eyes and actually comes across as really frightening. And trust me, that's not easy to do in a Swiss dress and pigtails. What? It's not like I tried it. And as the perfect complement to Rhoda, there is the excellent Henry Jones as Leroy, who could not be any creepier if he drove a van that said free candy on it. He brags that he's smart and mean, but most of his character is left a mystery, which is great because we can just imagine the worst about him. And I love it when he tries to antagonize Rhoda. They're gonna find that stick with the blood on it, and then they're gonna fry you in the electric chair. They don't put little girls in the electric chair. They don't. Well, they got a little blue electric chair for little boys and a little pink electric chair for little gals. The two of them just have great chemistry, and those are my favorite scenes in the movie when they're together. And my second favorite scenes in the movie are the two with Eileen Heckart as Mrs. Daigle, the mother of Rhoda's victim. In both of her scenes, she is drunk, depressed, and hilarious. This character could have been a major downer because Mrs. Daigle is severely depressed over the death of her son. Now, Eileen Heckart plays that sadness, but she also has fabulous comic timing, and she has great lines too. Christine, do you have anything in this house to drink? Just any little thing. I'm not the picky type. I prefer bourbon and water, but any little thing will do. She is so funny that it's impossible not to love her. And because I love her, she actually has a greater emotional impact. And when she says that final line, Christine, you know something? You know something you won't tell me. I get a tear in my eye. Now, I could go on and on about the rest of the characters, but those are my top three. But those characters would not have existed if it wasn't for Maxwell Anderson's excellent script. The kind of dialogue that Maxwell Anderson wrote was why the word was king on Broadway. In this thriller, he wrote dialogue that reveals the torment of the characters, that evokes horrifying images, and dialogue that's simply hilarious. And the lines I've said already are just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, one more. I've got the nicest mommy. I've got the prettiest mommy. That's what I tell everybody. I say I've got the nicest mommy in the world. And dialogue like that really makes this movie stand apart from others like it. Other evil kid movies may be scarier, but I don't think any of them are as much fun as The Bad Seed. And I give this movie 4 penmanship medals out of 4. So thank you for watching Dusty Old Movies, and have a theatrical day.